now lead the discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Jain. Distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. At the very outset, I'd like to compliment the Center for Education, Growth and Research for picking up an extremely important theme for discussion this afternoon. And I'm aware, that this is their maiden venture. So I'd like to compliment Ravish and the entire team of CEGR, and I wish that they continue with this very noble cause in the field of education. Gentlemen, although the issues that are placed on the table today and we're going to discuss in the next 2 hours have been discussed at various platforms in the last couple of years, some initiatives have been taken, some developments have taken place, some improvements have taken place, but you'll agree with me that the gaps still remain. And it's very often that we hear the refrain these days, for quite some time, that the youths today are not employable, they are too theoretically oriented, they don't have the required skill sets and the attitudes. That's a pity, because once the companies, the industry and the business start having this perception, then the whole atmosphere of employment, of development of the youth gets vitiated. For a long time in our country, we've considered that the large population was a liability. But I think now we have a tremendous demographic advantage because of the profile that we have of the population. The demographic differentials by some studies reveal that over the next 10 to 15 years, our advantage to India because of the demographic profile will be huge. And by some estimates, it's said that nearly 60% of our population in the next 10 to 15 years will perhaps be below 30 years of age. That amounts to about 600 million youths. In the same time period, the developed countries of the world are going to feel or experience a tremendous shortfall of working manpower, professional manpower. This is because of their low growth of population and the aging of the population. Now, to make up for this shortfall, these countries, developed countries, are going to compete across the world to attract the best talent and the right skill sets. They would probably do this either through migration or through outsourcing. I think that India is ideally poised today to take advantage of this new opportunity, not by migration route, but by providing professional services abroad. And by some counts, if we were to take advantage of these new opportunities in the next 10 to 15 years, anything up to 40 million additional jobs could be created in India for professional manpower. Now this by itself would unleash an economic upsurge in the country and would lead to us becoming, I think, truly an economic superpower. But, and I must say this word but in broad capitals, are we geared to take advantage of this opportunity? The answer is apparently not really. So I think we need to examine, and that's I hope and I'm looking forward to it, that's what we're going to do with the distinguished panelists that we have. Why is it so that we are not in a position to take advantage of this? Is it the system and quality of our education? As Dr. Jain said just now, education is really the key to opening the doors and opportunity for everyone. This gives an opportunity to everyone to creatively and effectively contribute to the development of the society and their own development and growth for tomorrow. And when I'm talking of education, I must emphasize that I'm not talking of government alone being responsible for providing quality education. The private sector and the corporate have to chip in. There is no doubt, I must confess, we must agree, that there are islands of excellence today in our country, both in the private and public sector in education. But are they adequate for the numbers that we have? And just to talk about a few numbers, I'm sure you are aware, I was just reading a couple of days ago that this year we are likely to have 10 crore children passing from elementary education and moving to secondary education, and thereafter they go to higher and professional education. It is understood that by about 2025, 200 million young Indian professionals would have joined the workforce. Do we have the capacity and provision to provide them quality education? Is it the adequate capacity alone, or is it also the curriculum and the content of our education? which probably doesn't meet the requirement of the industry, of the marketplace, which is evolving very fast. Is it the shortage of faculty and quality of faculty? Are we doing enough to train the faculty and give them opportunities to get the ground feel of what is needed out there? Do the institutes have enough linkages with the industry and business? Is the industry and business giving enough opportunity to the faculty and to the institutes to get the inputs from them? Do we have a system of sabbaticals both ways, from academics to industry and vice versa? After all, industry and business are the consumers of the output of the institutes. And as such, they must collaborate with them and work together to produce the best human resources. The collaboration that I'm talking about is not to be at the higher level only. I feel it has to start at the secondary, elementary and secondary level, so that we can reduce the gap between the reality and the theoretical education. That has to be imparted. Then, of course, we have the important issue of government policy, which must create an enabling environment. It must have a very effective regulatory mechanism, and it must be able to provide adequate funds. I also submit, we'll have a very senior government official with us from the Planning Commission later, that the private sector needs to be incentivized and encouraged a lot more to come up and put up quality institutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just flagged a few issues. I'm sure there are many more which will be discussed by the panelists and thereafter in the interaction that we'll have with the floor. Before and for this purpose, as I mentioned, we have very eminent panelists with us. 3 of them are already here. 2 will be joining us shortly. And I look forward to their deliberations and presentations and the discussion thereafter. Before I introduce them, I'd just like to get the format put across to you for the discussion this afternoon. First, we'll have the 2 representatives from the industry, followed by the 2 senior academics, and followed by the government policy perspective representative.